Hi everyone, it's Claire from Claire's Food Haven. Tonight I'm going to be cooking a quick and easy spaghetti bolognese or spag bol. So first we're going to put the hob up to 4. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. I'm going to be making it for 2 people. So I've got 250 grams of beef mince, some tomato puree, a tin of tomatoes, a few real tomatoes, a couple of mushrooms, onion, garlic. For flavouring you could add some herbs, so I've got a little bit of basil, some Worcester sauce, and I've got some cheese for the topping, and of course we're going to have 250 grams of spaghetti pasta, which is in this cupboard here. So first we're going to chop the onion up whilst the oil's heating in the pan. We're going to get this onion, in fact we'll do the garlic first, because our eyes won't be watering the same then. And do the garlic. If you like, you can use garlic granules if you haven't got any real garlic. That's fine. There's a little bit of something on that, so I'm just going to nip that off my garlic. There we go. Chop this up. Now the mince, I took out of the freezer this morning, because it's, I used the other half earlier this week to make a shepherd's pie. And what I like to do with the mince is put it in the freezer, you know, if I'm not using it, because I find with shop bought mince that you get from the supermarket that it doesn't last, it doesn't stay fresh that long really. So I like to freeze it. So I'm just going to pop this in the pan. Now we're going to slice the onion up. This is how I like to cut an onion, and then I take off the outer layer because it can be a bit chewy, it's not as good, you know, as the rest. I'm going to cut this up into fine bits. You can use white onion as well, it doesn't have to be red onion. I'm not going to be cooking with salt anymore, folks, because I have high blood pressure. And one way to get your blood pressure down is to reduce the salt in your diet. So I'm no longer cooking with salt. If people want to add salt, of course they can do that once the meal is cooked. But if you watch my previous videos, you will notice that I was using it cooking with everything. So normally I'd be putting salt, you know, in with the onion. I'm not going to be doing that. So that's a big change for me, because I've always cooked with salt for quite a long time, and obviously it does enhance the flavour, especially with meats, you know, certain meats like beef for example. Lovely if you can put salt in it, but gotta think of my health. That's fine. Right, so I'm going to give that a stir. So stir in the pan. And just cook that for a few minutes. Onion and garlic's been frying away nicely there for about 4 or 5 minutes. I've been stirring it a few times and it's really starting to smell, so I'm going to put the beef mince in now. Just going to break this up. It's all clumped together. And normally I would have put a little bit less onion in than that. There's quite a lot of onion in this, but that's okay. But you could get away with putting, say, half that amount of onion in, I think. I'm just going to break this mince up best I can. At this stage, when I was cooking with salt, I'd be adding the salt in now. You know, I mean, I wouldn't add a lot of salt, but I would be putting salt in there. But it's strange to not be doing that. But yeah, it'll be fine. It's still going to taste delicious because we're going to have plenty of flavourings from things like herbs, and garlic is a strong flavour, and of course the Lee and P, the Worcester sauce that we like. I'll be putting that in at some point once this is browned. Just leave that cooking for a bit longer. Been cooking a bit longer, so I'm just going to break it up a bit more. This is the lowest fat mince that you can get from the supermarket. So this is like 5% fat mince, you know. I don't mind paying a little bit more in the supermarket for lower fat mince. And there is a bit of fat on it still. You can see that water and fat in the pan there. But it's not as fatty as some mince that you can get. Now, some people don't mind chunky bits in their bolognese, but I like to break it down as much as possible. Still a few pink bits in there as I'm doing that. There we go. So whilst that's just finishing, I'm just going to turn that down to 3 because it's getting a bit hot. Move it off the hob a bit. I'm going to prep the mushrooms now. Now you're going to love this. I don't know if any of you have done this before, but when I first started making mushrooms, Errol was horrified that I didn't peel them. I said, "What do you mean you peel your mushrooms?" So she showed me this how she does mushrooms, and do you know what? I actually quite like it now that I know how to do it. I don't do it all the time, but she takes the middle bit out like that, and then she peels the outer layer like this. Look at that, amazing! And you know, when you start doing it, it's actually quite good fun, and you get used to peeling your mushrooms, and you think, I'm going to peel my mushrooms. Look at that. Now, obviously, you're losing a bit of the mushroom, like you're losing the stalk. I could still cook with that if I wanted to. And slice it up like that. Oh, that's a lovely mushroom, that. There we go. And do the same with this one. Look at this. Take the stalk out and peel the outer layer like that. Once you start, you can't stop. Yeah, let me tell you, once you start peeling your mushrooms, you will never look back. There we go, look at that. Lovely. Do I want this in yet? So what I'm going to do first, before I put the mushrooms in, I'm just going to put some flavourings in with this beef mince, okay? I'm going to put a tiny bit of basil in. I'm not going to put too much in, because if you put too many herbs, dried herbs in, it can get really bitter, you know, with the... I'm literally just going to use a pinch like that. Just sprinkle it over. Oregano works well with beef as well. I'm sure some viewers will put up other recommendations for herbs that work well with the beef. But I know that the basil works well and oregano works well. There we go. Just stir those lovely herbs in. And then the Worcester sauce. I'll get a few drops of that in there. Ooh. You can see the Worcester sauce is sort of evaporating on the pan and it's rising up a bit. So what happens is all those flavours, that because the meat's already brown, when we add the herbs and the flavours into it now, I think it soaks into the meat even more and it becomes even more delicious, you know, as a dish. Something that I learned over the years. I must have made hundreds and hundreds of spaghetti bologneses. But you do learn a few things as you go, and where you add the herbs in the cooking makes a difference, you know, whether you add them at the beginning or as the meat is cooked, as it is now, it all makes a difference. So I'm going to put the mushrooms in now, and the mushrooms will soak up any of those extra... Most of the juices have actually evaporated off the pan now. The water that was there, it's all going, and it's starting to stick a little bit on the bottom of the pan now, so just stirring that in. Do you know, it smells really nice. I can smell the Worcester sauce, smell the onion and the garlic, and there we go. I'm happy with that. I think it might be time to add the tomatoes already. Brilliant. So I'm just going to add a tin of tomatoes into that. There we go. Maybe a little bit of water just to rinse that out with. There we go. Put that in as well. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of sugar in with the tomatoes, and what that does is it reduces the acidity of the tomatoes. The sugar kind of neutralizes the acid a little bit. It really does work as well. So you'll notice if you don't put the sugar in, it does make a difference. It's quite dry that, so I'm going to put some tomato puree in as well. Just a good squeeze like that. If you wanted, you could also add some pepper. Some people like to add pepper into their bolognese. Let's give that a good stir. I'm just going to turn the heat up a little bit whilst that warms up, and I'm going to put half a teaspoon of sugar in here. There we go. It's going to need a little bit of water in there, I think, as well, also, because that needs to cook for about half an hour now. They recommend that you cook your mince, whatever mince dish you're making, whether it's a bolognese or a cottage pie, that you cook it for around 40-45 minutes altogether. That's the cooking time you want to give it. A bit more water, I think. Yeah, I could stick all that in, because that will reduce right down. Because we added the tomato puree in, that really kind of thickens it up and makes it richer, so you can add some water in with that as well. And whilst that's going to do its magic, we're going to slice up some tomatoes here to add into it. There we go. Okay. This is such an easy meal to make. It's great, and I love it. I love a good spag bol. It's so filling and tasty. And low cost. You know, it doesn't cost that much to make this incredible meal. If you were going to make it for, say, 4 people, like, you'd need a whole packet of spaghetti, 500 grams of mince. So let me just do some rough workings out in the head. How much that would be, say, 4 could be mince, £1.50, £5.50. Tin of tomatoes, 50p, say, £6. I don't know, 50p for your flavouring, £6.50, 50p for your onions, £7. Bit of cheese, £7.50. So, plus your electricity to make everything, you're probably looking at about £8 or £9 for this meal. Maybe a bit more, depending on how much your meat is, because obviously that would be the most expensive item that you're adding to it. So I'm just going to add these tomatoes into the bolognese. We're going to let them cook for about half an hour. It's been on about 15 minutes. I'm really glad I came in to have a check on it, because I'd left the hob on 4, which is too high, and all the liquid has reduced out of it. I caught it just in time. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to it from the kettle that I've just boiled. There we go. Just give that a good stir. Turn it down to 2. A little bit more water, because we've still got another 10-15 minutes of cooking to go, so that water will just evaporate off. Smells great. Altogether, the mince has been cooking for a good 30 minutes. It's looking great, smelling delicious. Time to put the pasta on. So I'm going to put the front hob on to 6. Get it nice and hot. I've already boiled a kettle of water, and I'm going to use half a packet of spaghetti. This is for 2 people, so there's about 250 grams of pasta here. Put that in the pan. And I'm going to put the boiling water from the kettle straight into the pan, like that. Just fill it right up. And I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes to break the pasta down. The spaghetti's been boiling away there for a good 3-4 minutes, so I'm just going to, I use a fork for this. I bend the rest of the spaghetti into the pan like that, and break it up a bit with a fork so it doesn't all just stick together. There we go, it's looking nice, yeah. The bolognese is looking great. I'm just going to give that a stir. Oh yeah, you see all that water's almost gone now, it's all just reduced right down. Give this spaghetti another stir. Spaghetti's been bubbling away nicely for 12 minutes thereabouts. I'm just going to turn all the hobs off now because everything's cooked. I'm going to drain the spaghetti. I'm going to grate some cheese to sprinkle on top. Time to dish out this lovely meal. Here's the spaghetti. So spaghetti takes about 10 minutes to boil. It'll say on the packet what the cooking time is for the pasta. It's normally about 10 minutes. Quite a bit of spaghetti here, you can see. I don't think we're going to eat all of that, but I'm just going to leave still a little bit in the pan there. Just dish out the mince. You can see there's quite a bit there for 250 grams of mince. You know, it's quite a substantial amount. I don't think we're going to eat all of that, so again we've got a little bit left over there. And sprinkle some cheese on top. So there we go. Spag Bol. Bon appetit.